All right, recording engaged. FOJ number 24. 24 weeks of this madness.
How about it? How about it? Jeff, what is
You
going
looked stunned
on?
there for a second. It's like silence, like 24 weeks?
I know. I am celebrating week 24. So the first time I'm actually having a cocktail while we do this.
Whoa. Jay, you're crazy, man.
Yes. Just a little twisted tea, nothing too crazy, but
is this a leftover from your trip to Minnesota?
Actually it is, because I bought the case up there and brought home like 8 or 9 cans of it. So yeah, we brought it in the car. It's like that. It's like I twisted tea and I have water, one on each side. So
all right,
I'm ready to
make
go.
sure that you're not importing. We don't want you to get hit by the tariffs. So
no,
be careful. Which may or may not happen.
No.
Who knows?
Hey, I'm only state to state, my friend. That's it.
So you texted me yesterday. It's Monday right now, and you said that, hey, I'm still in Minnesota. Can we record tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. What were you doing up in Minnesota?
So we spent the weekend up in Minnesota, visiting Jeremy. Caught a couple of baseball games in what began in sub-freezing weather. Got to the field on Saturday for a noon game, and the sun was out, but it was 29 degrees.
No, that's not baseball weather, my man.
No, it's not. And I know there's a rule in high school that you can't play when it's below 40, but in college, apparently it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. They're men.
They're men. Well, they don't act like men, like we'll get into later. But it was cold. It was granted the sun was out, but it was cold. It was windy. I had on, a t-shirt, a t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, my Carhartt sweatshirt, and the heaviest winter coat that I own. And that seemed to do it. Mm-hmm. Now, my counterpart, who was also at the game, my lovely wife, 3 pairs of pants, five shirts of some sort. I don't know what. A coat, 2 pairs of gloves, and a hat, and a winter hat.
I was saying a partridge in a pear tree at that point.
And I think we brought 5 blankets to the game. So.
And how'd she do?
Now,
did she stay warm? Was that enough?
She only went to the car, I think, twice.
All right, well, good for her.
during the doubleheader, we were out there probably about 6 hours. So
now
yeah.
I would think with like all the travel that you do for baseball and the cold weather that is endemic to the Midwest, especially Chicago area and anywhere north of that you would have like some sort of, I don't know, heater or something, like a solo stove or something that you towed around with you that would like provide warmth that you could take with you somewhere.
That's a negative.
Okay.
We just bring layers upon layers upon layers of clothes. Now,
I mean, no technology, not even like electric heaters or those like battery operated powered things that you can get for your hands. Like, come on, man.
No,
nothing.
I'm not the tech toy guy that you are. So
now that's the difference between us. I would be on Amazon or Best Buy or Alibaba or something. Like, all right, there's got to be something for this.
I know.
And I would have like something electronics, like Batman. You know?
Yeah, like there's an app for that, right? There's
definitely there's something for this.
No, just to Michelle's credit, and we've been doing this for years. I mean, the kids growing up here, travel baseball in Chicago area, high school baseball in Chicago area in March, April. It's cold and it's windy, and it's like this every year. So we know how to do it. To Michelle's credit, wherever we go, no matter how long we're gone, she packs almost everything she owns. And I used to be a very light packer because I am less is more. It's less to carry because I wind up carrying most of it. And she's one of those, I got to bring everything. I have fear of, or she has fear of forgetting something or something like that. But The last couple of years, I've learned, you know what, just bring it. That way you have it. If you don't need it, we just leave it in the car. It's only
Well, it's
the
a lot
two of
easier
us
to go
that
by
are...
car because you're not
Yeah,
bound
exactly.
typically
Exactly.
by space, right? Like a suitcase or
Right.
check bags
Right.
or, bullshit like that. So yeah,
Exactly.
I can see like the Griswold, family station wagon with all the shit tied to it. And that's like Jay and Michelle heading out for a baseball game somewhere.
Well, it's funny. It's like the trunk is full because you got the cooler, with food and drinks and all that stuff. And then I've got so I basically travel with 2 backpacks, one for clothes, and then one I bring my work stuff with me. So I got my computer, I got my, my notebook and all my cords and chargers and miscellaneous stuff. And so they all fitted. There's just 2 backpacks, very simple. Michelle brings, she just throws stuff into just various bags. She's this bag and that bag and her makeup bag and her bathroom bags. And I do mean that plural. And then, the cooler and then the food bag and then this bag. And then we got to go to Walmart. We got to go to the dollar store where we're there. And we tend to accumulate more. I kid you not, Jeff, more often than not, we come home with more than what we left with. So I know it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
I mean, you're importing Twisted Tea and water. So,
very much
can't say anything about that.
Yeah. So, yeah. But, no, it was a good time. We tend to hang out with some of the families, had a really nice dinner at a really good Italian restaurant Saturday night called Spazzo in Minnetonka, Minnesota. And it was excellent. Some of the best Italian food I have had in a long time. Now, again, I'm not much of a traveler and I don't venture, out to anything fancier than Olive Garden when it comes to Italian food. But this place was really, really good. So.
Well, good. See, get out there, enjoy the world, find all the stuff that people like. I actually know Minnetonka because I have a client up in that area. So,
yeah, it's a
it is interesting.
super nice area. It's very,
yep.
From what I understand, it's pretty affluent, if you will.
Did you make it to
a lot of
Wazada?
money? No.
Okay, so if you go a little bit further west, there's a little town, Wazada, that is on the lake. And that is like the high-end place for sure. I mean, it's super nice.
Well, let's put it this way. So we were in Minnetonka. The game was at the high school. Now, this is not your everyday high school that you and I went to, where it's just, basic school building, football field, baseball field. No. Minnetonka High School has an all AstroTurf baseball field with like a stadium feel. I mean, full bleacher seats. This thing is kind of set in the ground, and you're kind of where you stand like up at the top, and you can kind of look over like you're in like a real stadium, which is really cool. Also has I believe it's 2 ice rinks because it's
Minnesota. So
it's Minnesota, so they're very into hockey, but because every high school needs not 1 but 2 ice rinks. They have a full-size dome for their spring sports to practice in, because a lot of times it's either too cold or there is snow on the ground. But this school had every resource possible available to the kids. And as we were walking out, we saw their robotics team loading stuff into a car, things that I couldn't even explain, but there were actual like robot type stuff that they were putting in the car. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
So,
high school robotics has gotten pretty big over the last couple of years. I've met a few different people who like partake in that. Like they either teach or they volunteer, or they're like part of some group that like works with like high schoolers, and like there's like competitions, and it's a pretty neat spot. That stuff didn't exist when I was in high school.
Right.
Romeoville was lucky that, you made it out of the school day alive, basically, was all you were thankful for.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, granted, I went to high school in Naperville, so we didn't have that problem, but I don't think we had a robotics club.
No, dude. My computer class in high school we learned on the Apple IIe or something like that, with like multiple floppy drives, and I had a keyboarding class that was like an electronic typewriter. So,
yes.
Yeah, no.
I had that
behind
as well.
the times.
Yeah. What these kids have today, they have no idea what it used to be like.
So there's a lot of money in Minnetonka. That is for sure. One
Yes.
thing that surprised me the first time I went up there, and this has probably been like a year and a half ago, I think, my first time I went up in that area, because I'm usually in like Plymouth and like Maple Grove, and I pass through Minnetonka on my way from the airport. So it's kind of like,
Okay.
if you think of like an L shape, you go,
Yeah.
across the bottom of the L, and then you go up, and you go Minnetonka, Plymouth, and then Maple Grove.
Sure.
I arrived in that area and hadn't ever been there before, and realized that they have Portillos up there. And I was like, what? Because as I maybe stated before in this podcast, you cannot find anything close to Portillo's here in North Carolina. The closest is
Right.
Cookouts, and it sucks. So to get like, a decent hot dog or burger or Italian beef, right? That kind of fast casual or whatever whatever they call Portillo's. I went to Minnesota every month for a year, and I had
Oh, wow.
a strategy, a plan every time I land. I pick up my rental car, and then I drive from the airport to Maple Grove Portillo's, get my
Okay.
2 dogs with cheese and onions and cheese fries, and then a chocolate shake, and then I'd go to the hotel. It was like clockwork every month for a year. Basically in 2024, that was like my plan.
Nice.
And it worked out well. And I was shocked because if you've mentioned Portillo's in the Chicago area, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Italian
What's
beef.
the Italian beef? But like you think about it as like being busy. The drive-through is always madness.
The drive-through, even though as busy as it was, you got through that drive-through like nothing. I can tell you not the case today, but yes, it is.
Lines down the street.
Yes.
I mean, like craziness.
Yes.
Like it's usually like that. I pull up to this Portillo's, and I immediately had my order taken, got my food, and was gone in about 30 seconds, maybe a minute.
Wow.
There was no line whatsoever. I was like, did these people not understand what they have?
You'd think they would know, but they have no idea.
They have no
idea.
And I made friends with a client that I had up there, and I was like, hey, and I started telling him, I was like, all right, here's what I'm doing. You're welcome to join me if you would like. He's like, I'm going to Portillo's tonight. And so he brought his family and his kids, and we had a good, Portillo's meal, and I kind of introduced it to them. Even though they live there, they'd never really been there before. And so that became the thing to do. So yeah, I should be like an ambassador for Portillo's. So hey, Portillo's, if you want to sponsor FOJ, send me some stuff.
Absolutely. And I'll second that. It's so funny because we have our kids. This is like our 6th year of having a kid at that school in Minnesota. So they have been ambassadors of Portillo's for 6 years now. And there are still, I think it's 3 of Jeremy's roommates that have never been.
They should probably reconsider the roommate option if they're not willing to.
Yeah. The Portillo's, there's a Portillo's from their house 15 minutes, maybe 20, but well worth the ride, obviously.
Oh, for
and
sure.
I know Portillo's isn't cheap. I know, you're a starving college kid, you're broke. I get it. But once in a while, you need to indulge.
Treat yourself.
Spoil yourself.
Yeah.
After a rough test, in their case, maybe a rough game, or celebrate.
You go out there, get a cake shake.
Celebrate a doubleheader sweep by going to Portillo's and throwing down a combo beef and sausage. I mean,
what are these rookies doing, man? What are they teaching these kids in high school these days?
So I will say, when I was up there a couple of weeks ago, I threw Portillo's out. I'm like, do you guys ever go? And they're like, no. I'm like, oh my God, man, you need to. And I almost got pissed. I'm like, Jeremy,
as you should.
Have you not explained to these dudes what Portillo's is, what it means, and how it's just Americana at its best, man?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Hopefully, he'll get some more people up there before he graduates in a month and a half. But he has publicly said that once he is done in Minnesota, he is most likely never going back.
Really? I like Minnesota. Yes. Minneapolis area is nice. I know it's cold, but still, it's a nice area.
Yeah, it is a very nice area,
awesome
and he knows that. But having snow potentially on the ground into May is not his cup of tea. And when it's cold, it is cold. And I would argue that even though it's not as cold here, the wind kind of makes up for that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I guess the season just lasts longer up there, even though they tend to get more sunshine than we do here this time of year.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's still cold. Still cold sunshine. I get it. Look, that's why I moved from Chicago area.
Right.
I don't know if Carolina was the weather. It just so happened that we had, 1,000-year hurricane, wildfires, earthquakes.
Yeah, right.
All kinds of shit happened here. But when none of that stuff is happening, weather's perfect here. It's exactly what I think my wife and I were looking for. So there are definitely places to go for sure. I think he would be happy maybe in if he likes the desert. I love the Vegas area. It's sure it gets hot in the summer, but it also gets cool in the evening. And there's plenty of stuff to do and stuff like that. But yeah, there's plenty of places to live.
To my knowledge, it's not humid. It's dry.
It's not humid. It's a dry heat.
And I think
it doesn't matter. It's, heat. It's an oven. It's still hot. But one of my brothers lives out there part time, so he's doing it right. He splits time between Elgin and Vegas, and I enjoy it.
If I had the choice, I would take the heat over the cold.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think if you had asked me that a couple years ago, I'd have been like, no, give me the cold. But I think I've started to acclimate a little bit to the warmer temperatures down here. And now I get cold way easier than I did, like a year ago.
Sure.
It's crazy. People are like, why am I so cold? I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, I did too. I used, when I was younger, I was a shorts guy. I always wore shorts.
Oh, yeah.
And you can
still wear shorts
short
here.
Sweatshirt.
Yep.
Yeah. See, now I can't do that like I used to. Like I used to, when I was coaching baseball, I could not coach baseball in pants. I just, for whatever reason, had to be in shorts, sweatshirt, pullover, whatever. It didn't matter how cold it was. But now, I am bundled up. I don't know if it's just me getting older. I know it's not me getting thinner. I can tell you that. But it's just, for some reason, the cold just hits me a little bit harder. I'm ready to be done with it. If I've said this for a couple of years now, if I never saw another snowflake in my life, I would be perfectly fine.
Hey man, get those kids out of the house and move. You're a grown ass man. You can do whatever you want.
It's coming. It is coming. I know.
Come on down, visit. So. We have good food, good weather, plenty of stuff to do. My wife and I, we took the dogs and hiked out to a waterfall yesterday in the area.
Nice.
So it's a good little spot we got down here.
Well, I know Michelle wants to be by at least one of the kids, depending on where they wind up. I think Justin is probably going to stay in Colorado. He loves it. And I know there's now a strategy in place to get his girlfriend out there. Mm-hmm. In about a year. So she goes to school in Minnesota now. Well, excuse me, she just graduated from St. Thomas University in St. Paul, where they met. She's going to go to grad school for a year. She found a year master's program in Michigan. And then her plan is to head out to Denver, or Colorado area, and go from there. Jeremy is in the process of trying to find a job after graduation. Graduates in May. Ironically, he had an interview today for a company that has offices in Chicago, Kansas City, and Denver. So it'll be interesting to see where he winds up with that. Now, his girlfriend goes to the University of Kansas, and she's got another year. And then she's got grad school after that. So we'll see how that works. So you got Joshua, who's, still a sophomore in junior college and still trying to figure out what next year looks like and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Mm. So did you hit any ragers while you're out there? Did Frank the Tank make an appearance?
No, Frank the Tank did not make an appearance, but I'm convinced that my wife would enroll in that school tomorrow if she could. So we got up there Saturday. They had already played 2 games on Friday, and then they played another doubleheader Saturday. So they wound up winning all 4 games. So they had Sunday off. And usually when they have Sunday off, because these guys, they practice like most days they don't play. So rarely do they get a day off. And when they do, they're college kids. They tend to, want to let loose and have a little fun. And I get it. It's what college is. So Jeremy lives in a house with 5 roommates. They live in a 6-bedroom house. 3 stories plus a basement. So they've got the main floor, 2 bedrooms and a bath upstairs, 2 bedrooms and a bath on top, and then 2 bedrooms and a bathroom in the basement. So it's like the main baseball house. And they've got a pretty decent sized backyard. It's one of those houses that it like has an alley that goes in between all the houses, and the garage is in the back. And so they've got like the detached garage and then the yard kind of in between the garage and the house. So they've got a pretty decent backyard area. Next door to them lives a bunch of girls on the lacrosse team. So we're sitting there and, we're just kind of hanging out after the games and stuff and hanging out at his house, and just we're watching basketball for a little bit. And then all of a sudden I notice there people are just starting to arrive at the house. And I'm like, oh, okay. And before too long, granted, we were inside. Before too long, you look out the back window. Now, it's a nice house, but it's still college kids. So they've got, the can stack or pyramid or whatever of energy drink cans, probably about 150 of them just stacked across the wall, blocking the back window. But all of a sudden, you see what looks like to be, hey, they're having a fire outside. So at this point, there's probably, 40, 50 people at the house. And most of them were outside. All of a sudden, I see the top of the flames, like, probably about as high as the garage roof. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So this one kid, and yeah, so we're now, granted, Michelle and I are inside and we're talking to some of the kids, and, again, Michelle thinks that she goes to school there, so she's having a great time, and, beer in hand, blah, blah, blah. So, and I'll admit, I had a Twisted Tea in my hand. That's why I bought the case. And we brought a case of the beer to the party. So, that's what we do. So all of a sudden, one of the roommates who actually lives there comes in the house and just announces to our group, because it was probably about 5 or 6 of the kids, and 3 of them lived there that we were talking to. And let me preface this. These kids are so nice, so polite. They didn't act like, oh my God, Jeremy's parents are here. Just, very engaging, all that kind of stuff, asking us all kinds of stuff about Chicago and blah, blah, blah. And then this one kid who lives in the house, he comes to the house, he's like, all right, I don't mean to interrupt, but I need somebody else who lives here to come outside. He goes, I'm afraid I'm going to lose control of what's going on out there. Cops are going to show up, and I don't really know what to do. So my stupid ass says this. I look at him, and I'm like, do you need some help? Thinking, yeah, like this 50-year-old going to walk out of the house and shut it down, right? So what am I thinking? He's like, no. He goes, I just need a couple of the guys who live here to come help me control what's going on. So I peek outside the window. There is this bonfire happening that is probably, 12, 15 feet in the air. And it was way beyond the fire pit, the little fire pit that they had built. The lacrosse girls next door, they had their own fire going, but nice little tame campfire, probably 5 or 6 of them just kind of sitting around it. No, over at the baseball house is this raging inferno surrounded by like 30 people. And you would have thought Lord of the Flies was going on out there. I mean, they're all hooting and hollering and chanting and throwing shit in it. And I'm just like, oh my God. So yeah, so that was going on. So Michelle and I pretty much stayed in the house and, just kind of let that happen. Cause I'm like, well, we're not getting involved in this. This is not where mom and dad need to be. So we hung out in the house a little bit, watched a little bit more basketball. We were talking to some of the roommates who did not want to go out there because they're like, I guess the volleyball team showed up and that pissed all of them off because they don't like the volleyball team. I guess the lacrosse girls are more like the lacrosse guys, if you know what I'm saying. And, it just was getting a little to be too much. So they were inside talking to us and all that. And then finally, after about 2 hours, we decided that it was probably good of us to leave because we could tell that Jeremy was he about at his limit of us being there, which is fine. And he was also, I don't know, 5 beers in about 2 hours. So I could tell that he wanted to, turn it up a notch, if you know what I'm saying. And
yeah.
I'm
and
like,
there was a limiter on him.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, we probably need to go. So we hung out there till about, I don't know, it was probably about 10, and then we left. So got a little taste of what Concordia St. Paul party life is like, but it was fun. I give Jeremy a lot of credit. He never asked us to leave, whereas his older brother would be like, "You're not sticking around, are you? You're not going to hang out here, are you?" That kind of thing. But Jeremy, great sport. He's like, "No, you guys just stay with whatever you want." But I could just tell it was time to go. So
yeah,
it was time to go.
That's good. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was
got
fun.
A little taste of college life, and went to a frat party.
Yeah. And his teammates and all the kids we saw, the teammates, the girlfriends, all this stuff could not have been nicer to us. Nobody kind of gave us that look of, why the hell are you here? Nobody blew us off. Just everybody was like, "Oh, you're Jeremy's parents. Nice to meet you." Blah, blah, blah. Just could not have been nicer. Or they were extremely fake and really played it off well. But no, I thought they were great. So it was cool.
It's exciting. It's fun. And then you drove home.
Yeah. No. That was Saturday night.
Yeah.
That was Saturday night. So we went back to the hotel. Went to bed, all that kind of stuff, and then got up. We had breakfast. No, Jeremy slept in a little bit. Go figure. So we got up, went to this little cafe in downtown St. Paul, had some lunch, and then Michelle took him grocery shopping, as they usually do. I stayed behind and did some work, and we left for home around 3:30 and got home about 9:45 last night. So not too late. So it's good.
There you go. Sounds like a nice little weekend. And who knows? If you have time to stop at Bed Bath & Beyond, just don't know. Just don't know if you're going to have enough time to do that.
Yeah, right. Right. But no, it was a good time. Yeah, that's most of our trips to Minnesota are like that, are quick in and out because we both work, and it's an easy drive, 6 hours straight up 94, and yeah, it's good.
There you go. Sounds like an all in all a nice little weekend. You got baseball, you got fire,
yeah,
you had booze, and still made it home in time for work on Monday.
That's right. Made it home. Finally watched the very last episode of Yellowstone, and now we're done with that series. And yeah, we can move on. So yeah.
So we watched the last episode of Severance, and I know you don't watch it, so it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain it, but it is very much
I will tell you this. Yeah, I will tell you this. A lot of people I know watch it. Justin watches it. He's gotten my dad into it, so they watch it. And we've been told by multiple people that we need to watch it. So I think I think there's an Apple TV free month or free something. So I think we're going to download that and knock it out. So yeah,
they got a bunch of good shows, man. You can check out Ted Lasso. You can check out Shrinking, which is amazing.
Yep.
There's so many good shows on Apple TV. It's kind of crazy how good the quality is on that. Yeah,
that's what I hear. That's what I hear. And I know they've got some others that I can't remember, but I know there's other stuff that's coming out that's supposed to be really good. So
yeah, there's plenty of good stuff. Wouldn't surprise me if you decide to keep it, because there's so much good stuff.
Yeah. I was going to say, maybe the Apple TV app will be something that we hang on to. So
yeah.
I don't know what it is a month, but
it's the same as like all the other ones. I want to say it's like 15 or something like that. If you have an iPhone, you can be part of your whole like Apple One membership and stuff like that. So there's different combo deals, right? As anything else.
Gotcha.
So we just went almost 30 minutes and haven't mentioned the NFL once.
How about it?
Because nothing is going on in the NFL right now, right? This is like the dead zone.
Yeah. I know the draft is is it?
I don't even know. Soon?
2 weeks. I know it's coming up. I know that, obviously with the Bears, that there's just a ton of debate on
Off-season champs,
Sports
2025, baby. Chicago Bears.
I know. Winning the offseason on paper. But obviously there's a ton of talk of what they should do at number 10. The big debate is, do they take the running back from Boise State? Or
I don't like the running back pick. I don't like it.
I don't either. Or do they stick to the plan and, best player available or best lineman available, which is where I think they should go. And I think you think they should go.
Yeah.
And just kind of keep building from, the lines out. So
it pains me to say that because I have always been a running back, fan. Like that was the position I played. That was like, who I looked up to was like, Barry Sanders and Walter Payton and all that stuff. And I just, the position is so devalued now that you can find good running backs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th rounds off the street. I mean, it's not a position of value anymore. There are obviously exceptions. Saquon Barkley is probably one of them, but he has one hell of a team in front of him as well.
You're right.
It's not just him.
It's really
certainly good, but he's got the offensive line. He's got, receivers that take the heat off of him, stuff like that. So,
well, it's difficult to have a good running back without a good offensive line, right? And as we've seen here in Chicago for many years now, you saw David Montgomery go to Detroit and become pretty good. I mean, he was decent here, but he wasn't who he is now. And like you said, it's so devalued. They don't last they're not nearly as durable as they used to be for whatever reason. You just don't find the Emmitt Smiths, the Walter Paytons, the Barry Sanders. You don't find those guys anymore. So.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to bring up, though, is the quarterback situation, because I'm very excited to announce that Ron Rodgers still hasn't signed with anybody. Nobody wants his stupid ass, or Russell Wilson for that matter. And that if you had told me that Jameis Winston would have signed a deal before either of those two guys did, I would have laughed my ass off. But I love the Jameis Winston signing by the Giants because I think Jameis is actually a pretty decent quarterback, and he's probably the right fit for them right now. He's not the long-term bridge, but he's also not going to cost, what an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson will, and he won't be a cancer like either of those two players are.
The thing about Jameis, and I'm with you here, and I love to see. Well, here, let me say this first. I love to see Rodgers not being catered to and not being wooed by somebody and not being, oh, please come play for us, Aaron, now that you're a free agent. I hope he is just blackballed by the entire league and never plays again. I know there's a possibility of him going to Minnesota. I don't
think so. I think they've said that. Yeah, I think we're
unless they've shut that down, which I
think.
Okay, good.
I mean, that's a rumor. Who knows, right? Until actually people get signed, but they're going to roll it.
I mean, we'll see.
Is what the people are saying.
Well, good. I mean, we'll see what happens after the draft and as things calm down. But yeah, as far as Jameis goes, I think the thing I love about Jameis is he kind of knows who he is, right? He knows he's not, one of the top tier guys. He's like the ultimate bridge guy to the next guy, and never going to be great, but he'll always keep you in games. The guy always tries. The guy busts his butt on field. I mean, what do you have that one Monday night game where he almost threw for 500 yards? I think he also
had the
threw
most
like
Jameis Winston game everywhere, like 500 yards, like 6 touchdowns, and like 7 interceptions.
It was
a
exactly.
Madden, stat line. But for 2 years, $8 million, I'll take that. I mean, that's a great.
Why not?
That's a great contract. Yeah.
Jameis. Yeah, I mean, for a guy who did he win the Heisman? I don't remember if he did or not. But I mean,
I don't know.
He was a stud at Florida State. He played college baseball at Florida State. He was, I think, their closer, if I'm not mistaken. And then, he's been around the league for a bit, but you got to be happy for the guy, right? And the fact that Winston got signed before Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I think is awesome. And I think, who's really in a kind of a pickle here are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, they're really kind of screwed right now.
Yeah, because they let Fields get away.
Yeah, they let
Fields get away. Yeah, they let Fields get away. It's apparently obvious that they don't want Russell Wilson to come back. And who else is out there besides Rodgers? I mean, did they call Atlanta and say, what would it take to pick Kirk Cousins off their team? I mean, I don't know of a whole lot of other options for them. Let's put it that way.
Well, I think Tannehill is going to Minnesota.
Okay,
so,
that makes sense.
You know, and that's a much better fit, I think, for that team because Tannehill can sit on a bench.
Yes.
But
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's available other than kind of those three. I mean, I guess technically there's, I think, a couple of unsigned, like, current players, like Brock Purdy, and like stuff like that, right? Like they're not going to go anywhere, or they're like on 1 year deals or whatever. But, yeah, I mean,
yeah, isn't
you got
like
Russell Wilson, you got Aaron Rodgers, and then there's like who else is left?
Isn't like Gardner Minshew still out there? You know, guys that are just names, you know. And obviously, I think Tennessee is probably going to pick Cam Ward, and you know Sanders will go somewhere. But other than that, there's not really any highly touted first round worthy quarterbacks in the draft this year. Last year was still quarterback heavy. This year is quarterback light.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's just not a lot available. I guess Trey Lance is available. Dallas cut him, I believe. Joe Flacco is still out there, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe Carson Wentz. I mean, there's not a whole lot that's available right now. But I would take probably any of those guys or Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. If your team is looking for a quarterback right now, chances are you're not very good, and you're not a quarterback away from solving your problems.
No, I agree.
What's the point of spending all that money on that position?
Yeah, no, 100%. Agree 100%. So, But yeah, other than that, there's not really a whole lot happening. We're just kind of waiting for the draft to come around, and you know, hopefully the Bears. Hey, they got three of the top 41 picks, and hopefully they make them good ones.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming up to Chicago in a couple of weeks, and when is the draft?
Yes,
it is April 24th. So it'll be the couple of weeks before that takes place, and I think we're going to try and actually record this podcast in person. I've got my microphones right here and my little wireless microphone set
live
up.
show.
So we're going to try to figure something out there. Yeah, recorded live in front of a no studio audience.
So we're exactly like 1 month away. 1 month away from the draft. So
Yep. Let's see what else. So that's our sports beat. Music.
I mean NBA. Yeah, NBA boring. NHL Hawks suck. So boring. And baseball to you boring, and to me hasn't started yet until Thursday. So,
I mean, you love the sport for as much as you spend your time around it. You just can't get enough of it.
I can't.
I'm glad that you've got something like that. I think everybody should have that kind of passion about something.
Well, understand my dad played in college. Mm-hmm. My uncle, I don't know if he played in college. But he's a big time umpire. My cousin played in college. I played in high school. I wasn't good enough to play in college. And now that all three of my boys either played or are playing in college, it's just something I've grown up around it. I've passed it on, and you know, now Justin's getting into coaching. He's going to start coaching for the local high school next month. So yeah, it's in our blood. That's what we enjoy, and yeah, it's kind of our thing,
cool, man.
So
hey, even though I don't find it interesting, I appreciate the passion for it. Like I said, I think everybody should have something like that in their life.
I love it. That's just how it is. So,
well, let's talk some music, because you said something very interesting to me before we hit record, and that you're rebuilding something.
So I am trying to rebuild I don't know if you would call it ultimate, but just a playlist in Spotify of stuff that I enjoy. But I'm trying not to limit it to my normal stuff. Like as we've discussed, I am kind of locked in on 80s rock, 70s rock, 90s rock this, rock that, needs a guitar, needs a drum, all that stuff. You know, I am I am very, as much of that stuff that's out there, that's what I'm locked into. And I'm trying to open my ears a little bit, if you will, and just kind of expand into other genres, other just stuff that sounds good. I want stuff that every time a song comes on, I just want to be like, oh yeah, like yeah, I can feel that, or yeah, I can get into that.
So
I
I
don't want to
love
hit
this
next
because
I don't want to hit next.
I love music.
You know what I'm saying? I know
Yeah,
you do.
no. And so here's...
You love music like I love baseball. So yes.
I don't know if I'm that crazy, but yes, I do like music.
Well, it's close.
I have such a wide range of tastes, and I think here's my suggestion for you. This is what I did on, and I jump around between music services, Spotify, Apple Music, just kind of depends whatever I'm feeling at the time for whatever crazy technical reason that there might be, right? I'm still irritated that Spotify still doesn't have a lossless hi-fi plan like everyone else does at this point. Because the quality is so much better if you have the appropriate equipment to listen at that high fidelity and stuff like that. But anyway, and so I've done this over the last couple of years, especially, is I do not limit myself to thinking that I can only like a certain genre or band. So what I do is I have a very simple approach. If I like the song, I heart it or add it to my library or whatever the thing is to say, hey, I like this. And I rely, I don't build playlists anymore. I just use the very simple algorithmic ones that are out there. Spotify has a really good Discover Weekly that is based off of your listening habits. They've got a really good release radar that is all the artists that you like and new things that they're producing. And then they have another one. I think it's just like liked tracks or something like that, right? Or whatever they call it.
Yes, and so I do have that.
If I like the song, I'm a very simple man. I hit the heart button, and that is it. And I have like the craziest playlist because there is just, there's everything from, I'm looking at right now, Def Leppard, Soundgarden, Kill the Noise, Whitesnake, Billy Joel, Maroon 5. Apparently I have Ariana Grande in here for some reason. I'm not even sure why that is. Lady Gaga, The Struts, Daft Punk, Dr. Dre. Like, I am everywhere. And so I had this massive playlist of basically every single song that I like. And that is it. I don't, like I said, if I like the song, I've got 971 songs, 2.7 days of playtime between all these songs. And I'm sure there's probably some duplicates in there because, artists will have like multiple versions of a song or like here's the single versus the album. So I used to try and keep it clean, but then something would play automatically through the radio or whatever, like whatever the station I'm listening to. And then it'll be like, oh, why don't I like that song? Of course I like that song. And I'd hit it and I would add it again. So I just gave up on trying to keep it clean and just say, look, if I like the song, I heart it and I'm done. Then move on to the next one. And I just have built this crazy playlist that is everything. And if I feel like want to listen to a certain genre, then I will like type in the Orb. Okay. And I'll put on the Orb radio and it'd be like Orb songs and things that are like the Orb, right? And Spotify is really good at pulling those recommendations together. So I am very happy to hear this because I think this is kind of like, it's almost like you're doing spring cleaning of your music. And you're going to have to train the Spotify algorithm based off of your listening. And the only way to train it is by actually listening to stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it spring cleaning. It's a pretty good metaphor for it, but it's more like I'm trying to expand and not just keep it narrow. And I'll admit, one thing I did, believe it or not, and I'm going to revert it back to baseball, but in between innings, they'll play music, and they'll play stuff that's like popular now. And I'll be like, yeah, that's good. Boom, Shazam. What is it? Here it is. Yep. Find it, download it, add it. Done. That way I could decide if I like it later, But yeah, I've got my phone. I got the Shazam app and I hit that thing pretty much everywhere we are. If I hear something I like, I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds good. And then I worry about it later, like I downloaded one kid had a walk-up song, and I just happened to catch it. And it turns out it was a Jason Aldean song. I have gone on record on this podcast to saying I don't enjoy country music.
And that's fine. You can still hold that statement true, but have exceptions.
Exactly.
I'm with you. I can't stand most country.
Yeah.
I think most of it is terrible, with the exception of Kenny Rogers, the Gambler, which if you don't like that, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Freaking
Right.
love it.
And Tim McGraw's Mexicoma, which I don't know if anybody knows that song, but I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Well, because you love it, I'm now going to go check it out.
There you go. And that's about the extent of my country music, appreciation. I appreciate musicianship. I appreciate, the musical talent. Lord knows I don't have any ability to play music or to create music. But this is great. I'm very excited. I've got, start following artists on Spotify. You can follow the artist itself. That'll help with the training, and that'll do all kinds of stuff. And I pick a genre that you want to explore. Hey, I want to explore 70s psychedelic rock, or, EDM, or, I don't know, dubstep, or glam rock, right? There's a lot of good shit out there. Now, the problem that I have with it is it's not albums. I like one song, and the rest of the stuff that they put out might not be very good. So there's a lot of one-hit wonders for me.
There are, and that's why I'm thankful that this whole downloading, MP3, whatever file thing exists, because you used to have to buy the whole damn CD.
Yeah, and I had a thing when I was growing up that I would not buy the single. I would always buy the album. So I bought a lot of albums for one song. Yeah.
I think at my high point, I probably had about 800 CDs.
Yeah.
And
we had a pretty good collection.
We did. And I still have a lot of them. I just haven't unloaded them. But, they're, as far as country music, Kenny Rogers, I'm a big old school Willie Nelson fan. Love that. That kind of country music, it's because I grew up with it, because my parents really liked it. Mm-hmm. So I was big into Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Kenny Rogers, that kind of stuff. Tim McGraw, okay, I'm going to check out what you had. But yeah, what I downloaded this weekend was that Jason Aldean song and another song by Luke Combs. But why? Because they're more towards rock, like country rock, as opposed to your traditional country. But definitely off my radar, and now it's in the rotation. So, trying to expand the palette, if you will. And I'm hoping, I find stuff that I hear and I'm like, man, I haven't heard that in years. And I like stuff that, like I said, sparks a feeling or an emotion, or just like a man, yeah, that was awesome. Or yeah, I feel that. And I know that sounds, corny and all that shit.
Music is, it's not so corny, but the soundtrack of our lives, right? Yeah. There are certain songs that you associate with a memory, and it can be a good memory, it can be a bad memory, but it is so, it evokes an emotion, right? And then, of course, there's other songs that are just, good beats, and you kind of figure out what you like from a music standpoint. Yeah. Do you like more sing-along? Do you like more melody? Mm-hmm. Do you like more of a story in the music and the lyrics? Do you like just the guitars, right? There's a lot of different components that you can like, and you can like different songs for different reasons.
Yeah, I definitely have certain songs or certain groups that I associate with different times in my life. High school, the first restaurant that I worked at, we listened to WCKG in Chicago, which at the time was classic rock. So that's where I was introduced to Led Zeppelin, the Stones, the Who, the Doors, all those guys. It's where I learned all that. And then, like I said, there are songs that you just remember from high school, and songs I remember from, the 1 year I spent away at college, and then, just in various jobs and just various points in my life. Anytime I hear a Journey song, it makes me think of my wedding, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just that I can associate with certain points in my life, but there are other stuff that just hit you, and you're like, oh man, I turn the volume up. I mean, that's, I'm gonna blow the speakers out in my car.
So you're going to have this massive playlist, and it'll take a while, right? And you can, it's a living thing; it never ends, right? It's like, oh, okay, I like that song, right?
Correct.
Just throw it on the radio format and discover some new stuff. I think Spotify actually has a thing where it will insert songs into playlists that you create that are like, hey, we think you might like these as well, and sometimes they're bangers, sometimes they're not.
Yeah, once you get through, I think in the early stages, once you get through the whole list, it'll play recommended stuff based on what you have in there. And yeah, it's been good. I right now I have in this new list, still very young, still very early, but I have 138 songs in it right now. So not bad. Still very early, but I'm
looking at my Spotify right now. 1,548 songs that are in my liked song things. Looks like the last time I used Spotify, or at least the last time I liked a song, was February 10th. So about a month and a half ago, which probably makes sense because I think like I said, I go back and forth between Apple Music and Spotify. I actually have a service that I use. It's called Tune My Music, which I signed up for to like keep my playlist in sync. This is not an ad for Tune My Music because I don't think it works very well. So don't use it, or at least use it at your own risk, because it matched, incorrect tracks here and there. I was like, where the hell did this come from? I was like, oh, stupid Tune My Music. So
it sounds like they will not be a sponsor of the FOJ show anytime soon.
I mean, I'll take their money
until they clean up their act.
That's right. They need to fix their algorithms, but I think that's probably more associated with like metadata with songs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's exciting, man. And you just hear music and just hit that thumbs up or whatever the like button is, and just keep building it. And then, the other thing too is if you like a song, type the song in and then create a radio station based off of that, which is the other thing you can do.
I like that.
You say, okay, well, I like this, You All Want a Single by Korn. Great. I like that style. Plug that in, create a radio station, and then, it'll play more Korn songs, but it'll also play other stuff maybe you haven't heard before that you may like. For whatever reason, I find electronic music tends to be a lot easier to discover, at least for me, that I like, than other genres. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because I just don't have this big, much of a knowledge on the electronics, artists and stuff like that. But like it's much more common for me to discover an EDM, some sort of EDM or electronic track that I like than like a rock track or even like a pop, track or whatever it may be.
Gotcha. I've always been a music guy. I mean, hell, we went to countless concerts back when we were younger, and it's always been fun. I just kind of going back to when we went to those shows and talking about specific groups, and just here on the pod, we've been talking about, our times with Metallica or, the Jamboree and, minus the orange. But, just music's, like you said, it's been always there, soundtrack of our lives, man. And
yeah, man, we're in our cars,
giving it up anytime soon.
I mean, we're there's plenty of opportunities to listen to it. So I'll throw out a recommendation for you. So, song is Vibe Check by Grizz, Griz. It's like a lowercase I. I don't know, weird spelling, whatever. But it's just a cool little ditty. And it's just like, it's electronic. It's like, yeah, man, I kind of mellow and kind of groove out to this. That's one that I discovered, relatively recently, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's lots of hits. Like I recently rediscovered Blue on Black by Kenny Wayne Shepherd. I remember that when we were probably, working our Chili's days, that was like popular. I was like, man, I haven't heard this song in like 20 years. I was like, shit, yeah, like,
Yeah, I saw him perform that live on one of the Van Halen concerts I went to. He opened and played that, and it was awesome. So, yeah, Blue on Black, great song. Great song.
All right, so I got a would you rather question for you now, since we're talking music.
Okay.
Would you rather listen to one song for the rest of your life or never be able to listen to the same song twice?
Oh, wow.
Yep, you can listen to one song, it's on repeat for the rest of your life, or you can never hear the same song again. You've heard it once, and you'll never hear it again.
Okay, my gut tells me that I should say. My gut says never listen to the same song twice.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I am one of those people who, even if I like the song, if I hear it over and over and over, I need a break.
Nothing will
I'm not
kill
breaking.
a song more than overplaying.
Yeah, I'm not breaking up with the song,
Mm-hmm.
but I need a little
We need our alone
variety.
time. We need a little bit of a break. I'm with you on that.
Exactly. There are right now. There are two songs out there that I absolutely cannot stand. Michelle loves them. I know they're good deep down here between you and me and the 8 or 9 listeners that we have on a weekly basis.
We got more listeners.
Hey, our last episode, I know on YouTube got like 30 views, and only one of them was me. So
wow,
I don't know what our Spotify
like and
numbers
subscribe
are.
if you're listening.
Yes, so I don't know what our Spotify numbers are because I don't have access to that. But I can tell you the YouTube numbers are like around 30, between 20 and 30, pretty consistently for the past 3-4 weeks. So that's good.
Well, that's pretty good. I'll have to look up the Spotify. I don't think it's that many, but hey, we do this for ourselves.
Right.
Yes, and
so while you're looking that up, so the two songs, one of them is I think it's called the Bar Song by that guy Shabuzi.
Oh, it's so overplayed right now. Yes.
Was it Tipsy? I think, or something like that.
That's like the chorus for, but yeah, that is so overplayed right now.
Yeah, and hey, it's a good song. It's just it's on in my house all the time. And the other one is what is that? I title escapes me because I try to block it out of my mind. Was it the Darius Rucker? The hell?
I don't know. While you're thinking about it, we got 6 followers on Spotify. so who knows? Hey, who knows what other platforms have? But yeah.
But okay,
we
that's
have way
not
more
just listens.
So, yeah.
So that's not just listens. That's actual followers.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, we got way more streams.
So
people are streaming either a lot of what we do, or people are streaming and they're not subscribing or following or whatever they call it.
Okay, but hey, I'll take it. That's fine because those are 6 anonymous people. I have no idea who they are. Although, in my defense, they could be a couple of my coworkers because I don't know where they listen, whether it's YouTube or Spotify. But just the fact that they put on there as a follower, I am down. I think for YouTube subscribers, I don't even know what we have, but whatever.
Doesn't matter. So we do it for the love of the game, dude.
That's right. It'll get out there. It'll get there. So the song is Wagon Wheel by Darius Rucker.
I don't think I know that one.
I know. No, you do. I promise you do.
Okay. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I've probably heard it maybe 1,000 times. Almost. So Michelle and I in the summertime, one of the things we tend to do just for something to do is we go see what we always refer to as music in the park. Mm-hmm. So we'll go to Bolingbrook, go to Romeoville, and they always have some local band. It usually plays covers, whatever. But it's just something to get outside and go see local music, blah blah blah. Get the house. I kid you not, almost every band plays their version of Wagon Wheel, and it's one of those where I'm just like, oh, again, I can't get away from it. And I just can't have it. Again, Darius Rucker, lead singer, Hootie and the Blowfish. I loved Hootie and the Blowfish. Very talented guy. It's a decent song. I can't, I'm not with it anymore. So I need to break up with that. So back to your would you rather. It has to be never hear the same song twice.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think it's just too much of a risk. I feel like
exactly
the same song. Like I said, that's going to kill it for me. Probably after the first 5 or 6 plays. Like, all right,
yes, exactly.
I'm done with that. And if I could never hear another song, I would probably go nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you think about it, it's like, oh, that's a great song, and you can never hear it again.
Right?
You can never hear.
I know.
Eruption from Van Halen ever again.
I know.
Ugh.
I know. And just think about it. you said you have 1,500 songs, and that lasts you what, 3 days?
So let me. I don't know how much, because that was my Apple Music one has far less. So whatever 1,548 songs is, I'd have to like do the math on it. But Apple tells you like, number of songs and the playtime. Spotify doesn't. It just says the number of songs. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how long.
At least it's probably, if 900 is 2.5, and it's almost 2/3 of that. So maybe it's another 5 days, maybe 4 days.
Yeah. So what do you do on day 6?
Right. Or you find new music and you listen to something else.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's the thing about that is there's usually a never-ending source. There's always something new. There's probably always something old that you could go find back from 30, 40, 50 years ago. So
I had no interest in the Beatles in my 20s. And I really kind of found them in my 40s, I guess. Early 40s, maybe late 30s. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see what's going on here. And I just chalked it up to, is like, I didn't really give them a chance, or maybe my style, my appreciation or styles have changed over the years for sure. I've kind of got more out there. But yeah, man, I think that's great when you can discover music that already exists, because now you've got, in some cases, a fully formed story. Like, oh, okay, I have an entire catalog that I can go back and look at. And I can, look at the beginning, the middle, and the end sometimes of a band, right? They're not around anymore, right? Or whatever it may be. And so I find there's a sense of like finality to it. It's like, okay, this is them. These are their works. And, there won't be anything new for me to discover, versus, oh, here's a band that I really like right now, and they put out stuff, and some of it is good, some of it is maybe not so good. And you're going to have that with every band, right? You're not going to like 100% of every song from every band anyway.
Right.
But I love finding old stuff. They're like, yeah, man, how did I miss the boat on this? I think that's super cool.
I agree. All
right.
Yeah, I'll admit, I'm not enamored with the Beatles as most people are, but yeah, they have some.
No, they've got good stuff
that I enjoy.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. Sure. That they're great, or that they're like every single song is great, but they definitely have a ton of good songs, for sure. And you can definitely see the influences that other bands have had, either on them or that they've brought to other bands as well. And I think it's cool when you have like a song that you kind of you I don't know if it's a sample or they've definitely gotten inspiration from previous bands, right? And sort of riffs and things like that.
100% agree with you. Yep.
Yeah. There's a song by Seether, I think it is, that has like a riff in it, and it's the name of it is escaping me right now, but it has that, and I don't know what the name of the song is, but like, and dun 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 right, whatever that song is, and the Seether has a song, I think it's Seether, has a song that has that same riff, and every time I hear that song, it's a good song, I think of that, 50s or 60s song where that has that same riff. And I don't know if it was conscious or not. But
yeah, I love a good cover of like by somebody who comes like 20 years later. Like, some of the bands that play stuff from, say the 50s or 60s or 70s. I just really enjoy, like I came across Pearl Jam playing The Real Me by The Who. I've listened to that over and over a few times. What is it? Five Finger Death Punch playing Bad Company by Bad Company. Great song. So there's a lot of great covers out there as well that gives you a new spin on, a song that you may have liked, or a song that you maybe didn't like the original version, but you really like the new one. Or
there was actually something this weekend that we were in the car listening, and it was Stone Temple Pilots, and there was a song that I didn't realize was I think it was a Def Leppard original song. That STP. Okay. I thought it was an STP song the whole time.
Interesting.
And then I realized, wait, like that can't be true, because maybe it was Led Zeppelin, or maybe it was, I don't know, we were listening to 80s, or 70s classic rock station or whatever it was on a trip. And it was, oh shit, like that is not an STP song, or, it's an STP cover of this. And I was like, oh, that's crazy.
Okay.
By the way, that song from Seether is Same Damn Life. If you listen to Same Damn
Okay.
Life, that guitar track sounds like that 50s
You pick
or
up
60s
on
song.
some Beatles in there. Okay, cool.
It wasn't Beatles. It was something else, though, from like 50s, kind of,
Okay, but
whatever
same
song.
kind of
But
thing. Sure.
yeah, exactly. I'd have to look it up, like what the original song was. But yeah, I thought it was crazy to like hear that. I was like, you can still discover stuff now that's like, oh, I always thought that was original. That's kind of the famous one is Nirvana when they did the David Bowie song on the Unplugged. And everyone thought it was, The Man Who Sold the World. Everyone thought it was a Nirvana song. I was like, no, that's David Bowie. He literally says it after he's done singing.
Yeah, right.
But a lot of people were, very much like, oh, that's a great Nirvana song. Like, no, dude, that's not a Nirvana song.
Yeah, well, it's like when Tupac covered or sampled Bruce Hornsby in the Range when he played that song "Changes" by Tupac. If you ever heard that, it's got the same beat as Bruce Hornsby. Or Snoop Dogg did "Last Dance with Mary Jane" over the top of Tom Petty's "Last Dance with Mary Jane." So you got genres crossing over. I also sometimes like live versions of songs better than the studio version, or vice versa. So there's ways to spin this stuff that kind of keeps you interested, So,
and that song, by the way, I think it was "Dancing Days." I thought that was a Stone Temple Pilots song, and I didn't realize it was a Led Zeppelin cover.
Great version by STP, by the way.
Oh, it's fantastic. I actually prefer their version than
the
Led Zeppelin version.
Lot of people have covered Led Zeppelin songs and have done really well with them. But Zeppelin obviously regarded as one of the all-time rock acts. But a lot of people have tackled their stuff. Good.
See, now that's a band I need to get into because I have never really. I mean, I like a couple songs here and there, but I've never really like explored the catalog. Right? So okay, what are we listening to here? Stairway to Heaven, Immigrant Song, Black Dog, Whole Lot of Love. Sure, the hits. But I've never gone beyond that, really, to any depth.
Their catalog is pretty solid. It's good. There's a couple of obviously stuff they you to be completely stoned out of your mind to write, but they've got some deep stuff that is really good. So
they're gonna add it to the list and start exploring.
Yes, absolutely.
I find plane rides are good for that. Obviously, car rides as well. Just gotta throw on a playlist or an artist and just kind of keep going through it.
We have recently, on car rides, believe it or not, we'll throw on YouTube and we'll listen to, not to get off music here, but for just a second, we will listen to a stand-up comedy.
Oh, yeah.
And
I love stand-up comedy.
We listened to, let's see, on the way back, we listened to a bunch of the Comedy Central roasts, like the top 100.
Oh, yeah.
Roasts
are the best.
Yes, roasts are good.
I love a good roast. It's probably my favorite style of comedy.
Yeah. And then we did probably the equivalent, it was two different things, of about almost 2.5 hours of Bill Burr. Dude, that guy is hysterical.
Yeah, he's pretty.
If you're into that kind of style, if you've listened to him, really funny, rags on himself, just rags on society as a whole, and I think it's hilarious. So,
yeah, if you like roasts, there's a whole Comedy Central like series of different roasts. The Tom Brady roast I thought was really good. There were definitely some standouts. Nikki Glaser was good. I think there are a lot of different styles of roasts, and there are. I think the couple that stand out to me are the Bob Saget roast, and Gilbert Gottfried did a roast of Bob Saget, where he just kept repeating this accusation over and over and over again. And at first it's like, what the hell is he talking about? And then it became just so hilarious. So if you haven't seen Gilbert Gottfried roast Bob Saget, definitely a classic.
I have another standout from that one is Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald is fantastic, for sure.
Yes.
Andy Samberg, and I think it was James
Franco.
Was one of the cleverest ones I've heard because it was so different than everyone else's. That's one of my favorites.
Because he basically roasted the art of roasting, which was great.
And himself and kind of everything. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah,
Another good one from that roast is Nick Kroll.
Nick Kroll's is good. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then
the Charlie Sheen roast is awesome. What the hell's that guy's the comedian?
For
damn it.
For the Charlie Sheen one?
For Charlie Sheen one, the big black guy who passed away from diabetes.
Oh, Patrice O'Neal.
His name. Patrice O'Neal.
Yeah, he was really good. Yeah.
And then what the hell's that one dude's name? I can't think of it, but he's freaking hilarious. And,
well, Seth MacFarlane, I think, was the roast master for that one, which kind of interesting.
Anthony Jeselnik. Anthony
Jeselnik's fantastic. He's just such a dark comic. I'll be honest, I'm a big fan of his, but I did not like his most recent one on Netflix. I didn't think it was that good. But
I didn't watch it.
The rest of his content is awesome.
Yeah, he's good on the roast. He's also good on the roast. But yeah, there's a ton of good roasts. But I didn't mean to take us away from the.
No. It's
away from music.
Man, we can go wherever the fuck we want, man. This is our show. I also like crowd work, but crowd work is very difficult to pull off. There's only a couple of comedians I think that can do it kind of relatively consistently, and you really only see the highlights of when they do that, like good crowd work.
Oh, you're talking about like what Matt Rife does? Just basically talks to the
I'm
crowd.
not a fan of his. I've never really kind of followed any stuff, but that's kind of like what he's made his bones on, is crowd work and stuff like that. Which, sure, great, that's fine. I just don't know his stuff.
I think he appeals more to the female audience because that's who he's talking to most of the time. So,
Maybe.
I know my wife really likes him. I know of a couple other, a lot of her girlfriends like Matt Rife, so I get it. I mean, younger, attractive guy, who just basically hits on women the whole time, and and that's just his deal. I mean, he's entertaining, but I mean, he's funny, but it's not.
It gives me kind of like a douchey vibe. Like the guy kind of like seems kind of creepy.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's just me looking at it from a distance. Like I said, I don't know any of his content or anything like that, but I was thinking more like Stavros Halkias, who has a ton of YouTube stuff where he's funny in his own right, but he's also really good at sort of the crowd work and kind of making fun of people and stuff like that. Big J Okerson is really good at that. Where he just, that might be his entire show, is he just gets up on a stool and just kind of talks to the crowd and just, carries on a conversation, which I find, super entertaining. Obviously, like I said, they're cherry picking the ones that they're showing on YouTube and stuff like that. But good crowd work is good, and it doesn't have to be mean. It doesn't have to be like crass. As much as I love any of those topics, right? I think there is a skill and an art form to it where being mean to just be mean isn't funny. There has to be cleverness to that.
Well, I mean, obviously you gotta have quick wit. You gotta be able to, talk to people, able to quick reaction.
Jimmy Carr is like that. He's also really good on the crowd stuff.
Yes, I think you're right. You've got to be super talented, I think, to pull that off in the right way.
And you've got to be intelligent. You've got to be really well read and know what's going on in the world. And you can't just go to a duh.
Yeah, for sure.
Smell, like that's not a good comeback.
Yeah, no, a lot of good comedy out there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard Lewis Black's Rantcast?
No, but I know I need to, because Lewis Black, when I was heavy into satellite radio, I used to always listen to Comedy Central, Raw Dog Comedy. And Lewis Black was always on there, and I never heard a Lewis Black thing that I didn't crack up at hardcore. So I need to check that out for sure.
So he has a thing that's called Rantcast, and the videos are kind of hit or miss, but when he does it live in front of an audience, it seems like it's something he does like the end of his kind of stand-up routine, whatever it might be, is that they'll have like special things. And there's one, I can't remember what it was, I'd have to find the link for it, but where him and Kathleen Madigan kind of like tag team together and do
they used to be a thing. They used to be a thing
if I'm not
back
mistaken. In the day. I don't think they are anymore. But they basically take rants from the audience and then read them off in this, wherever they happen to be. And
so I can see that.
They can complain and tell stories, and they kind of, will kind of get into that. But that's another one that's, I think he's been doing it for a little while, but I kind of recently discovered that. I don't want to say within like the last 6 months or so. So there's plenty of things to find there. And I know well, not you, but I know that it can be politically polarizing, to put it bluntly, or diplomatically maybe. But things like The Daily Show are still really funny and really good. And Last Week Tonight with John Oliver is fantastic. Like it is really funny, good, smart stories that they pick up, especially on Last Week Tonight. If you've got HBO or Max or whatever it's called, they do a bunch of interesting topics. And there's one on sports betting that I have not seen yet. It came out last week. I need to watch, but they really dig into stuff, and they know their facts because they do not want to get sued, and they do ridiculous things. And it's not just poking fun at the right, or the left. It's usually picking on a specific thing, like, prisons for, pay prisons and real topics, and like, stuff like that. So I dig it. I think it's kind of funny, but the other one I think I mentioned before on Comedy Central was Sports War, where Jordan Klepper and Ronnie Cheng go after each other, and they can't, they legally cannot agree on things, and they just kind of make fun of each other and come up with crazy bets and stuff like that. But I still enjoy both of those things. And like I said, I know they get politically polarizing. They tend to be seen as more left-leaning, but I still think they're quite entertaining.
Absolutely. I'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah. All right. An hour 15. I got one more. Would you rather?
Oh, hit me.
All right. Would you rather give up salt or sugar?
Well, okay. There's a this is an interesting one, because there's one I should give up.
Well, yeah, I think everyone realizes.
And then there's one I'd rather give up.
Let's take the health ramifications out of this, right? Because too much of anything is bad for you, right? That's right. Fact. But let's just talk about it purely from this is a hypothetical, obviously. Which would you rather give up? Would you rather give up salt in all its forms or sugar in all its forms?
I'm going to say, and I think I might shock you here, but I'm going to say sugar, only because I think for me, as much as I love, candy, cookies, all that stuff, and I know I shouldn't eat that stuff. I eat more of it than I should. But I think it would be easier for me to give that up than everything that has salt in it, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Because I'm with you. I think
because
I have to keep salt.
Yeah, because of the seasoning effect that it has on all the stuff that I like to eat, like a steak or chicken, or basically, vegetables, just a hint of salt, whatever. I need salt to enjoy more than I do sugar, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm with you, even though I'm looking at a bag of chocolate-covered walnuts and chocolate-covered almonds that just arrived today as part of my nuts.com order.
Hey.
But I'm with you. It's like, hey, I the one I'm giving up is sugar. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think I would enjoy food anywhere near as much without salt. I
100%.
love,
that's
salty food, salty items, things like that.
Yeah.
And I love chocolate. So this is a big deal, folks.
Yeah. In chocolate, I'll admit, I go in spurts. It's definitely something I shouldn't have. It would be a major positive effect in my life if I toned it down more than I do. But, I seem to blame Michelle for a lot of stuff, and I don't mean to, but
sorry, Michelle.
I know. It's one of those things where if it's not in the house, I don't need to go out and get it. But if it's in this house, I will find it and I will consume it. And bless her heart, she tries to hide stuff from me intentionally. And I go on the hunt, and sometimes I find it and sometimes I don't. And it's like, all right, if I eat something, am I going to hear the wrath of her? Because she bought it for her. She bought it because she wanted it. So, because she knows
Stop
I'm
eating
not
her
supposed
Oreos,
to have
man.
it. Yeah, exactly. It's mostly, she buys this kind of chocolate. I forget the name, but it's like there's a toffee, there's a dark chocolate, there's a salted caramel, and there's a vanilla. And she buys them all because she likes them all. And they're like little packets. They've got like 5 bars in each pack. And she just buys them at Walmart. But they're all so goddamn good. And yeah, I find them and I'm like, oh, all right, she won't miss one. And then it turns into, she'll think that she ate the other 2, but really I ate them. She'll forget how many she ate. She's gonna buy more of them anyway. She could just order it on Walmart and it'll be here like in, the next day or later on today. So whatever. So if I find it, I eat it, but I don't seek it out very often, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. I'm a little bit the opposite. Is my wife doesn't want it in the house, and I go out and get it, so that it's there.
You and Michelle get along. You and Michelle get along great because that's what she does.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, well, if I have a craving or something, it's like I'll go get it, and then or you do not send me shopping into the store because I will come back with all kinds of shit that I don't need and shouldn't be in the house, but ends up anyway. Cookies, donuts, all kinds of stuff. I love sweets, and yeah, maybe not. I'm almost reconsidering my answer, but I'm still going to go with salt. I think it's just too important.
Yeah, I do too, because salt is attached to more main stuff, whereas sugar's attached to more, treats and ancillary things as opposed to,
And, of course, we want to have a well-balanced diet.
Yeah.
All right, I survived on chocolate chip cookies and chocolate milk from, I think, grades 5, 6, 7, and 8 when I was making my own lunch, and my parents were not supervising me, and I would literally put 10 chocolate chip cookies in my lunchbox with a thermos of chocolate milk, and that was my lunch for like 3 years straight. That's probably why I'm so short. I malnutritioned myself.
My problem was I just love to eat. I mean, I eat a lot. Not as much as I used to, but there was a time when I ate a lot. Just because I loved it. And I am definitely guilty of the eyes are bigger than my stomach. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, I need that, and then I need that, and then I need that. And it's like, okay, now that it's here, I have to eat all of it. One thing I am notorious for. I don't care how big the meal is in a restaurant. I don't take to-go boxes ever.
Don't want to waste it.
Ever. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I'll eat everything. And, Michelle, the boys, they'll take stuff home, blah, blah, blah. Not me. I eat it all. I eat it there. Saturday night, we're in this Italian place. And I said, you're going to laugh because you'll appreciate this. I said, I need a box. And it's like Michelle and Jeremy were sitting across from me. They both like stopped in their tracks. Like, wait, what? And Michelle said this. She goes, I feel like there's been a disturbance in the force. And I just started laughing because we were actually talking about the table. There was like 8 of us, and we were talking about Star Wars as like the greatest trilogy ever, the original. And, they were talking about, putting that up against, like, I think it was Lord of the Rings, or there was a couple others in there.
That's a tough one, but yeah, Star Wars for me.
Yeah, right.
But it's a tough one.
So
I think it's just more nostalgia than it is anything else.
Yeah. So we were talking about Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Wars, and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
So I'll tell you right now, I have never seen a Harry Potter movie. Ever. None of them.
I have not either. And I hear they're awesome. I hear they're really good.
Sure. I just have never been interested, and I don't care. I feel like at this point that flying broom has sailed, and I don't need to be on it.
Yeah.
But I've never seen or heard anything about Harry Potter. I know that there are certain characters, but I have no idea. All I know is Snape kills Dumbledore was like a big thing. I don't know what that means, but I know it was big.
And I know, what is it, Indiana Jones? I think there are, 5 of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I love every single one of them.
I do too.
I love Indiana Jones. The video game that just came out is amazing, by the way. If for anybody who plays video games, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, it's on Xbox. I think it comes to PlayStation in a little bit, but fantastic. It's like playing a movie.
I would check that out.
Fantastic.
But the first 3 was it Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade.
Yep.
Phenomenal. And I know Star Wars movies, they're like the 3 trilogies, and then you got the ones in between, like Solo and Rogue One, which I think Rogue One is the greatest
Rogue
Star
One's
Wars
fantastic.
movie ever.
Yeah.
But anyway, the original Star Wars were Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the
Episodes
Jedi.
4, 5, and 6. Yep.
Yes, I don't think you can top that as far as a trilogy.
It's tough.
And
Especially
it's
knowing
awesome
that there was stuff before and after it, too.
Right. But those three
Mm-hmm.
were just amazing movies. And I know they were basic, and they're obviously what? I mean, the original Star Wars is coming up on 50 years old almost,
Mm-hmm.
But in Empire Strikes Back, I remember was regarded as like the greatest motion picture ever made when it was put out. And I just Return of the Jedi, I just thought was the greatest thing ever. I just thought, man, that thing, the space fight at the end, I just thought was absolutely amazing.
Yep. And then the duel with Vader at the end and blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's so many, there's so many memorable moments, throughout that entire thing. And I like all of them. I know some of the first, episodes, I guess 1, 2, 3 were kind of whatever, but
oh yeah, I liked them all too.
I still thought, there's great scenes, the whole part where Kenobi and Darth Vader, whatever his Kylo Ren, are fighting, on that lava planet where, he basically cuts his legs off, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like that fight scene is fantastic, right? Probably the best. I think it's probably the best fight scene probably of the entire series, with maybe the exception of Darth Maul in the very beginning, where he has the double-bladed lightsaber. It's like, what? This guy's got a double-bladed lightsaber? Like, oh shit. Like, that was good. The one when Obi-Wan and Anakin went at it.
Oh,
yeah. And then the Emperor and Yoda.
Yes.
I mean, that was crazy shit. It was like, I remember seeing that in theater, and when Yoda, flipped his little robe to the side and showed his lightsaber and took it out, like the audience started cheering. in the theater.
It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Yoda can handle a lightsaber? Because I remember in Empire Strikes Back, the dude could barely walk.
Right. But this is young Yoda, right? And he is like about to kick some shit.
Yes. And how about, I just think it's awesome because when you look at this actor's career, Harrison Ford in both the Star Wars trilogy and the Raiders of the Lost Ark trilogy, on top of everything else that guy's done, arguably the greatest acting career ever.
It's a tough one to top, man. And he's still going strong. I know I mentioned before, but Shrinking I think all the things he's done, I think Shrinking is his best role that he's ever done on Apple TV.
He's very good in, 1923? I
haven't seen that one, but yeah, I mean, he's still kicking ass.
He was awesome in American Graffiti way back when he was younger. It's like one of his first major roles, but that guy's made so many movies over the years. I mean, you put him up there with like Tom Hanks and Denzel Washington, and there's others, but I don't know. Harrison Ford is, De Niro is another one, but Harrison Ford is top notch for me.
82 years old, and he's been in movies for like 7 decades. It's crazy.
It's incredible. Yeah, we'll have to, maybe in a future episode, while we're waiting for sports to come back to us a little bit, we can break down some of these guys' careers and how amazing they were. But
let's get a super fan on that knows like a specific artist or actor or something, and they can teach us all about
one.
It.
Yeah, I'll have to find one. I'm still trying to track down my CSP baseball player. He refuses to give me his phone number for whatever reason. I said, well,
then he's dead to me. He's not. You can't be a friend of Jeff until you're on the show.
I'll get him. I'll get him. He, like I said, he's an interesting guy, so I'll get him at some point. But good.
All right, hour and a half. I think it's a good place to sit tight with it for now.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Oh shit! I didn't hit record. Just kidding. All right. We'll have a good week. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Like I said, I'll be out in Chicago. We'll do something up there on the night, so I'm in town. And then,
I think I should be good for Sunday next time. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That'd be awesome.
It'll be good to go. All right, man. I will talk to you later.
Likewise. I'll see you later. Have a good week.
See ya.